The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with worried voices. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy sat in floating chairs that moved through the air like slow clouds. Some had 4 arms, others had scales that changed color when they spoke. A few looked like walking crystals that sparkled in the bright lights above. Ambassador Taemin stood at the center platform. His blue skin was darker than usual, which meant he was upset. His 4 arms moved as he talked, pointing at the huge screen behind him. Numbers and charts filled the screen, all showing the same strange thing. "Look at these readings," Taemin said, his voice carrying across the silent hall. 3 different worlds have seen the same energy patterns. They all come from the same place, the void sector. A cold feeling spread through the room. Everyone knew about the void sector. It was the part of space that nobody went to. Long ago, something terrible had happened there. All life had died. Nothing could survive in that dark place between the stars. Chairman Hyunwoo's crystal body glowed brighter as he spoke. "Are you sure about this data? The void sector has been dead for thousands of years. Nothing lives there. Nothing can live there." "That's what we all believed," Taemin replied. He touched a control, and the screen changed. New images appeared, showing space that looked twisted and wrong. "But look at this. These energy signatures are not natural. Something made them, something with great power." A loud hiss came from the Draknari section. Representative Kangsu's scales turned red with anger. "This is impossible. Our ancestors checked that area many times. It is empty, dead. These readings must be mistakes." "Our machines don't make mistakes," said another voice. This came from Delegate Hyejin of the Insect Collective. Her voice sounded like many voices speaking at once. "But we agree. The void sector holds nothing. Perhaps these are natural events we do not understand yet." The argument grew louder. Different species shouted at each other in their own languages. Some banged their hands or claws on their chairs. The hall filled with noise until Chairman Hyunwoo's crystal body flashed bright white. "Silence," he commanded. The noise stopped. "We will hear all the facts before we decide anything." That's when Dong-hyun stepped forward. He belonged to the ethereal consortium, beings who could touch thoughts and see things that others could not. His thin, pale form seemed to float rather than walk. When he spoke, his words felt like they came from inside everyone's heads. "I bring news that will trouble you all," Dong-hyun said. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it clearly. "Our farseers have looked into the dark between stars. They have seen something that should not exist." "What did they see?" Chairman Hyunwoo asked. "Minds. Active thinking minds. Not one, but many. They think and plan and work together in the place where no life should exist." The hall became so quiet that you could hear the air moving through the vents. Some of the delegates looked scared. Others looked confused. A few whispered prayers in their ancient languages. Taemin's skin grew even darker. "How many minds?" "Thousands. Perhaps more. They hide their true numbers, but they are there. They live and think in the dead zone." An old voice spoke from the back of the hall. Elder Wonsik was the oldest being in the council. He had lived for over 2,000 years and remembered things that others had forgotten. "There are stories," Wonsik said slowly. "Old stories that most think are just tales told to younglings. They speak of the Terrakin, the people of Earth. They were said to be great builders and fighters, but they vanished long ago." "Fairy tales," snorted Representative Kangsu. "Stories to frighten children." "Maybe," Wonsik continued, "but the stories say they could live anywhere. Hot worlds, cold worlds, worlds with poison air. They could change themselves to survive what would kill others. And they had ships that could do impossible things." Secretary Min-jun pulled up old files on his datapad. His job was to keep all the council's records, even the very old ones. "I have some information about these Terrakin. Most scholars think they are myths, but there are some interesting details." The main screen changed again. Now it showed drawings and symbols from ancient times. Some looked like star maps, others showed strange machines. "These images come from ruins on 17 different worlds," Min-jun explained. "All very old, all show the same symbols. The beings in these pictures look similar to each other but different from any known species. What happened to them? Asked Delegate Hyejin. Nobody knows. The records just stop. One day there are signs of them everywhere, the next day nothing. Complete silence. That's why this period is called the Great Silence. Chairman Hyunwoo's crystal body dimmed as he thought. Even if these Terrakin were real, that was thousands of years ago. What does this have to do with the energy readings? Donghyun's pale eyes seemed to glow. Our farseers say the minds in the void are not like ours. They think in ways we do not understand, but there is something familiar about them, something that matches the old stories. Taemin pulled up more data on his screen. I ran the energy signatures through our computers. They don't match any known technology, but when I compared them to theoretical models based on the old Terrakin legends, he paused. They match perfectly. The silence in the hall was heavy with fear and wonder. If the Terrakin were real and if they were still alive after all this time, what did that mean? Why were they in the Forbidden Zone? What did they want? This could change everything we know about our galaxy, whispered someone. Or destroy us. All, said another. Chairman Hyunwoo made his decision. We need to know the truth. I call for a secret investigation. We will send our best scout to find out what lies in the void. Who would take such a dangerous job? Asked Taemin. Jinwoo, came the reply from several delegates at once. Jinwoo was famous throughout the galaxy. He was a Valoran like Taemin, but smaller and quicker. He had survived missions that should have killed him many times over. If anyone could get into the Forbidden Zone and come back alive, it was him. Find Jinwoo, ordered Chairman Hyunwoo. Tell him the galaxy needs him again, but tell no one else about this mission. If word spreads that something lives in the void, it could cause panic across all worlds. As the council meeting ended, delegates whispered among themselves. Some were excited by the mystery. Others were terrified of what might be found. But all of them knew that their peaceful galaxy might never be the same again. In the depths of space, in the place called the Void Sector, something was indeed watching. Something that had been waiting patiently for this moment. The whispers had begun, and soon the truth would spread across the stars like light breaking through darkness. The old stories were not stories at all. They were memories, waiting to be remembered. Jinwoo checked his ship's controls one more time. The small scout vessel was the newest design in the Valoran fleet, built for sneaking through dangerous space without being seen. Its hull was black as the void itself, and special machines bent light around it to make it nearly invisible. All systems show green, reported So Young from the science station. She was not Valoran like Jinwoo. Instead, she was Draknari, with green scales that shifted to blue when she was nervous. Right now, they were definitely blue. But I still think this mission is crazy. Most of my missions are crazy, Jinwoo replied with a small smile. That's why they pay me so well. The third member of their team said nothing. Kang-ho was from the Silicon hegemony, which meant his body was made of living crystal instead of flesh and blood. He could connect his mind directly to the ship's computers, which made him the best engineer in the galaxy. His crystal form glowed softly as he worked with the ship's systems. Stealth fields are at maximum power, Kang-ho reported. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. We should be invisible to any normal sensors. Good, Jinwoo said. He looked at the star chart on his screen. Ahead of them was empty space, but not the normal kind of empty. This was the edge of the void sector, where space itself seemed different. Darker, colder, wrong. Tell me again, why we're doing this, So Young said. Her scales were now fully blue with worry. Because something is out there that shouldn't be, Jinwoo answered. And the council needs to know what it is before it becomes a problem for everyone. Their ship moved slowly toward the Forbidden Zone. At first, everything looked normal. Stars shone in the distance and empty space stretched in all directions. But as they got closer, their instruments began to show strange readings. The energy levels are increasing, So Young reported. But it's not coming from any star or planet. It's coming from space itself. That's impossible, Kang-ho said. His crystal body flickered as he processed the data. Empty space doesn't produce energy like this. Jinwoo frowned as he watched his screens. The readings were getting stronger with every minute. But more than that, there was something organized about the energy patterns. They weren't random like natural phenomena should be. Look at this, So-young said, pointing to her display. The energy flows are following specific paths through space, almost like roads, Jinwoo finished, or trade routes. But trade routes between what? Kang-ho wondered. There's nothing out here. They flew deeper into the void. The stars around them seemed dimmer now, as if something was filtering their light. The energy readings grew stronger and new patterns began to appear on their screens. I'm seeing structures, So-young said, her voice filled with disbelief. Artificial structures, but they're huge. Some of them are bigger than space stations. Where? Jinwoo asked. Everywhere. They're cloaked, but our sensors can detect their mass. Look at this sector scan. The main screen filled with dots of light. Each dot represented something made by intelligent beings, not by nature. There were hundreds of them scattered throughout the void. This is impossible, Kang-ho said. His crystal form was now glowing brighter with confusion. The void sector has been empty for thousands of years. We have records, surveys, proof. Maybe the proof was wrong, Jinwoo said quietly. That's when their ship's alarms began to sound. Someone is scanning us, So-young reported, her scales now turning red with alarm. Multiple sources, very powerful scans. Our stealth systems should protect us, Kang-ho said, but his voice was worried. They're not working, Jinwoo realized, as he looked at his controls. Someone has turned them off. That's impossible. Our stealth systems can't be controlled from outside the ship. Then someone is already inside our systems, Jinwoo said grimly. The space around them began to shimmer, like water. Stars seemed to bend and twist, and new shapes appeared where empty space had been just moments before. First one, then another, then dozens of massive structures materialized around their small ship. By the ancient gods, So-young whispered. Here, structures were unlike anything in galactic databases. They were huge beyond imagination, some the size of moons, others even larger. Their designs mixed smooth curves with sharp angles, and their hulls seemed to change color and pattern as they watched. They're beautiful, Kang-ho said with wonder in his voice. They were beautiful, Jinwoo had to admit, but they were also terrifying. Any civilization that could build such things and hide them so completely was far more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Are they weapons? So-young asked. I don't think so, Jinwoo replied. They look more like cities, or homes. One of the largest structures began to move toward their ship. It was bigger than most asteroids, but it moved with grace and purpose. Strange patterns of light flowed across its surface like living things. Should we run? So-young asked. Run. Where? Jinwoo replied. We're surrounded. Their communication system crackled to life, but the sound that came through was not like any language they knew. It was musical and complex, with layers of meaning that their translators couldn't process. Then suddenly the sound stopped. A moment later, a new voice spoke. This one was clear and calm, speaking in perfect galactic standard. Welcome, travelers from the outer galaxy. We have been waiting for you to come. Who are you? Jinwoo asked into his microphone. We are the ones you call myths and legends. We are the ones who chose to step back from the light so that others could shine. We are what remains of those you once knew. The Terrakin, So-young breathed. Among other names, yes. But we prefer a simpler name now. We are human. Humans are myths, Kang-ho said. Stories from the old times. We are very real, the voice replied with what sounded like gentle humor. And we have been waiting a very long time to speak with our galactic neighbors again. The largest structure continued moving toward them. Its surface began to change, opening like a flower to reveal a docking bay inside. The bay was filled with soft, warm light. Please come aboard, the voice invited. We have much to discuss, and time may be shorter than any of us would like. Jinwoo looked at his companions. So Young's scales were now a pale green, the color Draknari turned when they were deeply curious. Kang Ho's crystal body was pulsing with soft light, which meant he was excited by the possibility of new knowledge. "We came here to find the truth," Jinwoo said finally. "I guess we're about to find it." He guided their ship toward the opening in the massive structure. As they passed through the entrance, he felt like they were crossing a threshold into a completely different universe. Behind them lay everything they thought they knew about their galaxy. Ahead lay mysteries that might change everything. Pemur. Whispers about humans in the Forbidden Zone were about to become something much more than whispers. Jinwoo felt strange the moment he stepped out of his ship. The air tasted different here, cleaner somehow, and the gravity felt lighter than it should for such a massive structure. So Young's scales had turned a bright orange color that meant she was overwhelmed by new sensations. Kang Ho's crystal body was flickering rapidly as his systems tried to process their environment. "The gravity is adjusting to match your home worlds," said a voice behind them. They turned to see a figure walking toward them. It looked remarkably like the ancient pictures of Terrakin from the old records, but somehow more real. The being was about Jinwoo's height, with smooth skin and features that seemed familiar yet strange at the same time. "I am Minho," the figure said with a warm smile. "Welcome to Haven Station. We are honored by your visit." "You're human," So Young said, her scientific training overcoming her amazement. "I am," Minho replied. "Though we have changed much since the old records were made. We have had to adapt to survive in ways our ancestors never imagined." "The records say Terrakin vanished thousands of years ago," Kang Ho stated, his voice making small musical notes as he spoke. "We didn't vanish," Minho explained as he gestured for them to follow him. "We withdrew. There is a difference." They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls were not made of any material Jinwoo recognized. They looked alive, pulsing gently with soft light that changed color as people passed by. "Why did you withdraw?" Jinwoo asked. Minho was quiet for a moment. "Because we saw what was coming. We saw the need to prepare for something terrible, and we knew that preparation would take many lifetimes. We chose to sacrifice our place in galactic society so that galactic society itself might survive." "Survive what?" So Young asked. "That is a longer story. One that our leaders will share with you soon." They entered a vast chamber that took Jinwoo's breath away. The ceiling was so high it seemed to disappear into misty clouds. Gardens floated in the air at different levels, connected by bridges that looked like they were made of solid light. Beings moved between the gardens, some clearly human, others that might have been human once, but had changed in remarkable ways. "How many people live here?" Kang Ho wondered. "This is only one of our habitats," Minho replied. "There are many others throughout what you call the Void Sector. Millions of humans call this region home now." "Millions?" So Young's scales turned bright, yellow with shock. "But how? The void is supposed to be dead space." "Dead to the old ways of living, perhaps," Minho said with another smile. "But we have learned new ways. Come, let me show you." He led them to a viewing window that showed space outside. At first, Jinwoo saw only stars and darkness. Then Minho touched a control, and suddenly the view was filled with wonders. "By all the ancient spirits," Jinwoo whispered. Space was not empty here at all. Structures of incredible beauty floated everywhere, connected by streams of light that carried ships and people between them. Some structures looked like crystal flowers bigger than asteroids. Others resembled living creatures swimming through space. All of them pulsed with energy and life. "We have learned to live with space itself," Minho explained. "Rather than fighting the void, we became part of it. We shaped it, and it shaped us in return." "This is impossible," Kang Ho said. "This technology is beyond anything we know. Your people have focused on working within the laws of physics as you understand them," Minho replied. "We chose to expand our understanding of those laws. When you truly understand how the universe works, many things that seem impossible become simply difficult." A new figure approached them. This was a human female with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold depths of knowledge. "I am Yunji," she said. "I study the sciences of space and time. Would you like to see how we live here?" Before anyone could answer, she gestured to a wall that became transparent. Beyond it was a laboratory unlike anything Jinwoo had ever imagined. Scientists worked with tools that bent light and seemed to manipulate matter with their bare hands. "We can show you how to heal injuries instantly," Yunji offered. "How to create any material you need from basic atoms. How to travel between distant points in space without moving through the space between them." "Why are you showing us this?" Jinwoo asked. "Why reveal yourselves now after hiding for so long?" Yunji's expression became serious. "Because the time of hiding is almost over. Soon we will need the galaxy's help and the galaxy will need ours." "What do you mean?" So Young asked. "Something is coming," Minho said quietly. "Something that will threaten every living being in our galaxy. We have been preparing for this threat for thousands of years, but we cannot face it alone." "What kind of threat?" Kang Ho's crystal form was now glowing with concern. "Come," Yunji said. "Our leaders will explain everything. They have been waiting to meet representatives from the galactic community." As they walked deeper into the habitat, Jinwoo realized that everything he thought he knew about the galaxy was wrong. Humans weren't myths or legends, they were real. They were incredibly advanced, and they had been preparing for something terrible, while the rest of the galaxy lived in peaceful ignorance. The corridors around them seemed to pulse with hidden energy, and Jinwoo could feel that they were approaching something important. Other humans they passed looked at them with expressions of hope and worry mixed together. "Are we the first outsiders to come here?" So Young asked. "You are," Minho confirmed. "We have watched the galaxy from afar, but we have not made contact. Until now, we believed we could face the coming threat alone. Recent events have shown us that we need help." "What kind of help?" Jinwoo wondered. "The kind that requires trust between species that have never worked together before," Yunji replied. "The kind that will ask everyone to believe in possibilities that seem impossible." They stopped before a massive door that looked like it was made of flowing water held in the shape of metal. Strange symbols moved across its surface in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Beyond this door are our leaders," Minho said. "They will tell you about the threat we all face. They will show you proof that cannot be denied. And then you will have to decide what to tell your people." "What kind of decision?" So Young asked nervously. "Whether to prepare them for the greatest war our galaxy has ever seen," Yunji replied, "or to let them live in peace until the enemy arrives and destroys everything they have ever loved." The door began to open, revealing light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Jinwoo took a deep breath and stepped forward, knowing that whatever he learned beyond that door would change not just his life, but the fate of every being in the galaxy. The whispers about humans were about to become a roar that would shake the foundations of known space. The room beyond the flowing door was unlike anything Jinwoo had ever seen. It was circular and seemed to extend upward forever, with levels upon levels of walkways and platforms floating in space without any visible support. Beings moved between the levels on streams of light, and the air itself seemed alive with gentle energy. At the center of the room stood a figure that commanded immediate attention. Sungmin was clearly human, but there was something different about him. He seemed to glow with inner light, and his eyes held the weight of centuries of knowledge and responsibility. "Welcome, friends from the outer galaxy," Sungmin said, his voice carrying easily across the vast space. "I am sorry we could not meet under better circumstances." "What circumstances?" Jinwoo asked as they were guided to comfortable chairs that formed themselves from the floor. Sungmin waved his hand, and the air above them filled with images. Stars and planets appeared, spinning slowly in a dance of light. "Your galaxy is beautiful," he said. "Thousands of species living in peace, building civilizations, creating art and music and literature. It is everything we hoped it would become." "You helped shape our galaxy?" So Young asked, her scales turning a thoughtful blue-green. "In small ways, yes, a nudge here, a suggestion there. We prevented a few wars that would have destroyed promising civilizations. We shared some basic technologies through anonymous gifts. We tried to guide without controlling. Why? Kang Ho's crystal form pulsed with curiosity. Because we saw what was coming, Sungmin replied sadly. And we knew that when it arrived, the galaxy would need to be strong and united to survive. The images above them changed. Now they showed space that looked wrong, twisted somehow. Dark, shapes moved between the stars, and wherever they passed, light seemed to die. This is the Devourer fleet, Sungmin explained. They come from beyond our galaxy, from a place where matter itself has been consumed and turned into machines of destruction. Jinwoo felt cold despite the warm air around them. The images showed entire star systems being stripped of all matter, their substance converted into more dark ships. How many of them are there? Billions, Sungmin said quietly. Perhaps trillions. They have consumed 12 other galaxies that we know of. Each time they destroy a civilization, they use its matter to build more ships, more weapons. They grow stronger with every victory. When will they get here? So Young asked in a small voice. Our best calculations say 30 standard years. Maybe less. The number hit Jinwoo like a physical blow. 30 years seemed like a long time, but to prepare for a threat like this, to convince the entire galaxy to work together, it might as well be 30 days. Why didn't you warn us sooner? Kang Ho asked. A new voice answered. Nari stepped forward from one of the floating platforms. She was human like the others, but her manner was clearly military. Because warning you would have caused panic and chaos. Civilizations would have turned on each other, fighting for resources. They would have destroyed themselves before the Devourers even arrived. So you decided for us, Jinwoo said, anger creeping into his voice. You chose to keep us ignorant. We chose to give you time, Nari replied firmly. Time to develop your technologies, time to learn to work together, time to grow strong enough that you might survive what's coming. And now? So Young asked. Now we need you, Sungmin said. Our preparations are nearly complete, but we cannot win this war alone. We need every ship, every weapon, every mind in the galaxy working together. The images above them changed again. This time they showed human technology in action. Ships that moved faster than light without using hyperspace. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets with single shots. Defenses that turned enemy attacks into harmless light. You have all this, Kang Ho observed, and you still need help? Look closer, Nari said. The images zoomed in to show the true scale of the coming invasion. The Devourer fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean. For every human ship there were thousands of enemy vessels. For every human habitat, there were entire fleets of destroyers. We are powerful, Sungmin admitted, but we are few. Humanity chose long ago to remain small in number so we could remain hidden. The Devourers are many beyond counting. What do you want from us? Jinwoo asked. Everything, Nari replied bluntly. We need the galaxy's industrial capacity to build weapons and ships. We need every species' unique abilities and knowledge. We need the billions of beings who call this galaxy home to stand together against the darkness. Most species don't even know humans exist, So Young pointed out. How can we convince them to fight alongside myths and legends? That is the challenge, Sungmin agreed. And it will not be easy. He gestured, and new images appeared. These showed human ambassadors meeting with leaders from every major civilization. We are prepared to reveal ourselves fully to the galaxy, to share our technologies and knowledge, to prove that the threat is real. How do we know you're telling the truth? Kang Ho asked. This could all be lies to make us surrender to human control. Instead of being offended, Sungmin smiled sadly. You are wise to be suspicious. Here is your proof. The air above them filled with new images, but these were not projections or recordings. These were live feeds from the edge of galactic space. Jinwoo could see a small dark object moving between the outer stars. This is a Devourer scout probe, Nari explained. It entered our galaxy 3 days ago. Your sensors cannot detect him Because it is made of materials that absorb all energy directed at it. But our sensors can see it clearly. If that's real, So Young began. It is real, Sungmin confirmed. The probe is gathering information about our galaxy's defenses and resources. Soon it will return to its fleet with everything it has learned. Unless we stop it, Nari added. Can you? Jinwoo asked. Watch, Nari said. The live feed showed empty space around the dark probe. Then, suddenly, bolts of energy appeared from nowhere. They struck the probe with perfect accuracy, and the small object simply disappeared. Where it had been, only empty space remained. Human ships destroyed it, Nari explained. Ships your sensors could not detect, using weapons your science cannot explain. But there will be more probes. Many more. And eventually, the main fleet will come. Jinwoo sat back in his chair trying to process everything he had learned. Humans were real. They were incredibly advanced. A terrible enemy was coming to destroy everything. And somehow, he and his two companions had become the messengers who would carry this impossible news back to the galaxy. What happens now? He asked. Now you must decide, Sungmin replied. You can return to your people and tell them nothing. Let them live in peace until the end comes. Or you can tell them the truth and help us prepare for the greatest battle our galaxy has ever known. Some choice, So Young muttered. It is the only choice we have, Nari said. Time is running out, and soon there will be no choices left at all. Jinwoo looked at his companions. So Young's scales had turned a deep purple, the color of someone making a difficult decision. Kang Ho's crystal form was dim as he processed everything they had learned. Outside the windows of the great room, human habitats continued their ancient dance through the void. Soon, Jinwoo realized, that dance might be interrupted by the greatest war the universe had ever seen. The whispers about humans in the Forbidden Zone had become a shout of warning that would echo across the galaxy. The journey back to Nexus Prime felt different to Jinwoo. Every star they passed seemed brighter, as if he was seeing them for the first time, or perhaps for the last time. In the cargo hold of their ship lay proof that would shake the galaxy to its core. Samples of human technology, recordings of their conversations, and most importantly, detailed scans of the destroyed Devourer probe. So Young had been quiet for most of the trip, her scales shifting between different shades of blue and green as she studied the data. Kang Ho's crystal form flickered constantly as his mind tried to understand the human technologies they had been shown. Do you think they'll believe us? So Young finally asked. They'll have to, Jinwoo replied. The evidence is too strong to ignore. Evidence of impossible things, Kang Ho pointed out. Sometimes people refuse to believe in impossible things, even when the proof is right in front of them. As they approached Nexus Prime, Jinwoo's communicator crackled to life. This is Nexus Control. Jinwoo, you are ordered to report directly to the council chambers upon arrival. Emergency session has been called. They're eager for news, So Young observed. They're about to get more news than they bargained for, Jinwoo muttered. The council chamber was packed when they arrived. Every delegate seemed to be present, and the air buzzed with nervous energy. Chairman Hyunwoo's crystal body was glowing brighter than usual, which meant he was either very excited or very worried. Report, the chairman commanded as soon as Jinwoo stepped onto the speaking platform. Jinwoo looked around at all the expectant faces. Beings from dozens of species waited to hear what he had found in the Forbidden Void. He took a deep breath. The Void sector is not empty, he began. It is home to millions of beings who have been living there in secret for thousands of years. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted questions in dozens of languages. Ambassador Taemin's skin turned almost black with shock. Representative Kang-soo's scales flared bright red with disbelief. Impossible, someone shouted. Lies, called another voice. Chairman Hyunwoo flashed his brightest light to restore order. Let him finish. The beings in the void are human, Jinwoo continued. The Terrakin of legend were real and they never vanished. They withdrew to prepare for a threat that is coming to our galaxy. What threat? Demanded Elder Wansik. so young, stepped forward with her datapad. "This threat," she said, activating the holographic display. The chamber filled with images of the Devourer fleet. Gasps and cries of fear echoed from every corner of the room as the delegates saw the vast armadas of destruction sweeping through space. "This is a fabrication," Representative Kang Su declared, but his scales had turned pale with fear. "Clever lies to make us submit to human control." "Then explain this," Kang Ho said. His crystal form projected new images into the air. The destruction of the scout probe they had witnessed. The chamber fell silent as they watched energy beams appear from empty space and destroy the dark object. The technological demonstration was beyond anything in galactic databases. "The humans destroyed this enemy scout 3 days ago," Jinwoo explained. "It had already entered our galaxy and was gathering information about our defenses. There will be more." Delegate Dongyun, the psychic observer, suddenly stood up. His pale form trembled as he spoke. "I can feel it now. The minds in the void are reaching out. They are not hiding anymore." As if responding to his words, every communication device in the chamber began receiving the same signal. A calm, clear voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. "Citizens of the galaxy, I am Mi Kyung, speaking for the human settlements of the void. We come to you now in friendship and urgent need." The main viewing screen activated, showing a figure that matched the ancient Terrakin drawings perfectly, but this was clearly real, not a myth or legend. "For thousands of years we have watched over this galaxy from the shadows," Mi Kyung continued. "We have guided and protected you while preparing for a threat that now approaches our borders. The time of secrets is over. Prove you exist," shouted Ambassador Timon. The response was immediate. Through the great windows of the council chamber, new shapes appeared in space around Nexus Prime. Ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen materialized from nowhere, their hulls gleaming with inner light. "We are real," Mi Kyung said simply, "and we need your help." The chamber descended into chaos again. Some delegates were terrified by the sudden appearance of the human fleet. Others were amazed by the technology on display. A few knelt in what looked like religious awe. "What do you want from us?" Chairman Hyunwoo asked when order was finally restored. "Everything," Mi Kyung replied honestly. "Your ships, your weapons, your knowledge, your courage. The enemy that comes will destroy all life in this galaxy unless we stand together." "How do we know you won't conquer us once the threat is past?" demanded Representative Kang Su. Mi Kyung's expression was sad but understanding. "You don't. You must choose to trust us, just as we are choosing to trust you with the truth. But consider this. If we wanted to conquer your galaxy, would we need to ask for your help? Would we have remained hidden for so long?" The logic was undeniable. The human ships surrounding Nexus Prime demonstrated technology so advanced that conquest would be simple if that was their goal. "Show us more proof of this threat," Elder Wansik requested. The viewing screen filled with new images, entire star, systems stripped bare, civilizations reduced to raw materials, the endless growth of the Devourer fleet. The scope of the threat became clear to everyone in the chamber. 30 years, Mi Kyung said quietly. "That is how long we have to prepare. 30 years to unite every species in the galaxy. 30 years to build the weapons and defenses we will need. 30 years to transform a collection of peaceful civilizations into an army that can face the darkness between stars." "And if we refuse?" someone asked. "Then you will die," Mi Kyung replied without emotion. "All of you. Every being in this galaxy will be consumed and converted into more weapons for the enemy fleet. Your cultures, your art, your histories, everything that makes you who you are will be lost forever." The silence in the chamber was complete now. Every delegate understood the choice they faced. Unite with the humans and fight for survival, or refuse and face extinction alone. Chairman Hyunwoo's crystal form pulsed with deep thought. Finally, he spoke. "What do you need us to do?" "First, accept the truth," Mi Kyung said. "Then prepare your people for changes they cannot imagine. We will share our technologies, our knowledge, our strategies. In return, we need your industrial capacity, your resources, your warriors. This will change everything, Delegate Heejin observed. Everything must change, Mikyung agreed. The galaxy as you have known it is ending. But from its transformation, something greater can be born. A civilization that can defend itself against any threat. A unity of species that can survive anything the universe throws at them. Over the following hours, the details were worked out. Human ambassadors would travel to every major world. Human technology would be shared freely. The greatest construction project in galactic history would begin, turning peaceful civilizations into fortress worlds. As Jin Woo watched the proceedings, he thought about what they had witnessed in the void. Children playing in gardens that floated through space. Scientists working to unlock the secrets of the universe. Families living lives of quiet contentment while preparing for a war that might consume everything. The whispers about humans in the Forbidden Zone had become a declaration that would echo through history, but whether that history would be one of triumph or tragedy remained to be seen. Looking out at the stars, Jin Woo saw them differently now. Each point of light represented not just a sun, but worlds that would soon know the truth. Worlds that would have to choose between the safety of ignorance and the terrible responsibility of knowledge. The greatest test the galaxy had ever faced was about to begin. And for the first time in thousands of years, humanity would not face it alone.